Well, I think the fastest and easiest way to say why I wanted to start this is we need more women's voices. We need more women's voices being loud. And I found the two of you, and we are loud together
Yep.
and support each other in that.
We're tired of the rules, tired of the shame, tired of pretending it's all the same. We're tired of the hustle that cuts us in two. We're tired, but we're stronger. We're breaking on through. We're tired as fuck, but we won't back down. We're tired as fuck, still owning this town.
Welcome in. Yay, we made it. Welcome into the first episode of Tired AF. Now, we will be calling this Tired as Fuck now that we're in here, but just when you're looking for us on your streaming services, we are Tired AF. So I am Mel. I'm here with my amazing co-hosts, Sandra and Courtney. And right out of the gate, I just want to let folks know that this is not another self-help show. This is also not just a random bitch fest about everything that we hate. We will be talking a lot about the things that we hate, but it's a space where women from very different backgrounds, we're going to be talking about the broken systems that were not created for us amongst their brokenness. This is a space for acknowledging all of the gaslighting that we are all experiencing. This is a safe space to be honest for us with ourselves and with all of you listening or watching, to talk about all the things that we have experienced, that we're currently experiencing, the things that we are doing our best to heal from. And we just want you to know that we're figuring shit out too. And we know that you are as well. And so this is a space where we want to start having these conversations so that you see a mirror to what you're experiencing. And most importantly, you recognize that you are not alone in whatever you are going through. We've been fortunate enough to find each other, and together we want to just be here for you all as well. And so we're going to talk today about how we got together, why this is important for us right now. And since I've been going on and on this long ass intro, I will tell you that I am Mel Morris. I am the owner of This Is What's Next, which is a personal development training and coaching company that works with women and LGBTQ plus community members to figure their own shit out, starting with self-trust and figuring out the life that they want to build for themselves. And so I'm going to throw it over to my other co-host now. Let's start with Courtney. We want you to just introduce yourself, tell us how you're feeling today, tell us why this is important to start Tired AF altogether and especially today.
Well, I think the fastest and easiest way to say why I wanted to start this is we need more women's voices. We need more women's voices being loud. And I found the two of you, and we are loud together.
Yep.
And support each other in that. And I think because we each had our own personal relationships, and we were able to connect on a lot of things and support each other in ways we hadn't always felt, we watched each other grow. And it was like, we saw that and wanted to harness that for more people. And my background, I'm Courtney Broderick, and I am the founder of Chief Troublemaker Company, which is all about helping women develop their own personal brands and essentially weaponize their personal experience, because women are coached to not sell themselves. They're coached that sales is dirty. And there's so many women being pushed out of corporate. I came up in the Silicon Valley, and as a woman late diagnosed with ADHD and CPTSD, I had a bad time in the Silicon Valley with the tech bros. And so I am seeing so many women have the same experience and be gaslit and be pushed out and deal with bias and think that they're crazy and think that it's them. And trying to heal in a corporate environment is next to impossible. So what I'm trying to do is like find the other women like us that have like been sold a fake bill of goods and want to build something better now. And so that's what I'm here for. And that's my role in this little trio. I'm our little firecracker who wants to burn it all down. And Mel and Sandra are trying to keep me strategic about where we light the match.
Yeah. I mean, we both have matches, but yes. Mhm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
How about you, Sandra?
Sandra, how
Tell
about
us
you?
a little. Yeah, tell us about you.
Goodness. So my name is Sandra Elliott. I am the owner of a company called Be Learning, which helps individuals and small organizations use education strategically to grow their businesses. And I have, gosh, I'm not going to go into my whole background, but just so that you know, I share with Mel and Courtney the idea that we have been misserved, served poorly in the world as it is. In case you just wonder if it's the tech bros, it's not. I started my career in academia, and even there I ran into the same kind of misogyny and poor treatment that actually had me leaving academia and going into software and software engineering companies where had the same problems, the exact same problems. And we'll probably talk about that in our origin story, so I'll wait for that. It was really, really difficult as somebody who was female and fat to be heard, be seen, and be treated as if I had any expertise in the fields that I had 20 years experience in. And it was incredibly hard to get people to hear that there were different ways of doing things. We have built up a structure in our businesses, in our academics, and so much of our public lives that serves cis het white men incredibly well and nobody else well at all. So, like Courtney, I'm late diagnosed neurodivergent. I'm late diagnosed autistic. Literally just got diagnosed in April of this year. And now I'm like, why didn't anybody know this? I also have CPTSD, and I have also worked in places that are not in even remotely trauma aware, neurodiverse aware, diverse in any way, inclusive in any way. Inclusivity has been a paint, a whitewashing, and not a reality. And I'm here to help make that abundantly clear. I know not everybody has the privilege of being able to speak about their experiences. Though I am queer, I am married to a man, I am a white woman, and I can pass very easily. And I don't work for somebody else where I'm getting my paycheck right now. So I have the ability to be able to speak up. And I consider it a necessity at this point because it's become so difficult for women like us out there. And, anybody that is outside of anyone who isn't a cis white male.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I have to add on to that a little bit because I love what you touched on, Sandra, which is
Mhm.
that like not only were these systems not built for us, but like as women have overachieved past men in education and in all of these things, and women have entered the workforce and we've accumulated all these rights that we're now losing in 2025, right? But like
Mhm.
we made all this progress as women and then as people of color and neurodivergent people and queer people, and we're in here saying like this isn't working for us or this is not okay. And we have the data, we have it all to back us up. But the thing that drives me crazy, and I think is part of what got us to the tired as fuck as our battle cry, is I am so tired of being told by men in power to contort myself to make them more comfortable.
Yes.
Complaining, you're just being a loud, emotional woman. Stop bringing this up. You're making us uncomfortable. This feels volatile. This feels like, no, just because I am not what makes you comfortable does not mean like there's a whole group of us. There's like, it's most of us, right? It's just everybody except the cis white men at the top. Like Sandra's point is that like we're now responsible for their feelings and their comfort. And I just think that there's this like rising frustration and exhaustion around, no, look who's leading our country right now. Look at those leaders who are actually in charge. I'm sorry, if I can't call out their idiocy, then what are we doing?
Right. I have so many stories along those lines, but to avoid the stories and just to get to the heart of the matter, if we are experts in our industries, if we are experts in what we do, if we have decades of experience in these things, it is our job to be able to bring up things that might be challenging, that might make someone uncomfortable, that might make somebody rethink their position. And I can't tell you how often I have been told that I need to act differently than my male counterparts to be able to achieve the same goals. And that
Same.
that doesn't just upset me, that offends me. And I'm tired of it. As a matter of fact, I'm tired as fuck about it.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, I love that. So I will say that for me, my story's a little different in that I come from a nonprofit background and the systems, it's not as male dominated. Most of who have kind of been in charge to some degree, at least immediate supervisors, has tended to be women, which has its own challenges because of the same systems, right? I mean,
Totally.
the patriarchy doesn't just work and is seen through the lens of men or specifically white men, right? The systems that are in place are in place and all of us are just playing our parts into it. And so, in a nonprofit world, you may have, for me, I had immediate supports, but when shit hit the fan, right, it still came from somebody at the top, right? The money people. And those were always organizations that were led by white men, run by white men, heavily impacted and running very clearly in patriarchal systems and structures, right? And so for me, I'm a Black woman. I'm actually a mixed race woman. And so that's a whole nother set of stories I'll get into, and we kind of have our own little opportunities in future episodes to talk about ourselves. As Sandra said, we're calling them our origin stories. And so we each get to be our own superheroes for a while. Those struggles that have come through that, specifically as a Black woman, and the way that we are seen in society in an everyday basis. The work that I've done in training and coaching over the years, where we're talking about issues of, DEI, right? I like to joke that I was doing DEI back when it was just the D, right? And so when the conversations were first, like, we were happy to just talk about diversity, right? That people were like, yes, let's tick this diversity box. And the ridiculousness of what that looked like within systems and trying to make those changes. And now we're seeing the intense erasure of anything from our past, of anything that isn't not just white centered, but the most positive, shiny version of white centered. And so as a Black woman, as a gay woman, I am married to another woman who's also Black. Like, I grew up poor, like all the boxes just about. I'm also not just late diagnosed, but like Sandra, this year, just this year, found out I had ADHD, which makes so much sense. All of these pieces, really, for me, now is the time, because there's been this slow rumble for a long time, right? Of changes that were happening, realizations that, wow, like, you just can't even pretend anymore that things
Yes.
might work themselves out.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been years. I've been working on, pulling groups of women together to have these conversations, because I need women to talk to, right? The reason I even got diagnosed with anything is from having conversations about what I was experiencing, and a woman saying to me, like, hey, that sounds a lot like, right? All of those things we have to, because people aren't teaching us, we have to find resources, community for ourselves, because it's only going to get worse. Like, it's clearly not getting better. It's not getting better anytime soon. And we can't wait anymore. We can't be hopeful anymore. We can't say, well, hopefully, today's election day that we're recording this, hopefully the right people get into office. No, there aren't the right people. It's not about
Nobody's
that.
coming
We
to save
can't,
us,
we,
right? Like,
no, we can't let
we
the
have to save.
systems dictate these things anymore. We have to be able to say, this is what I need. How am I going to get there? Who am I going to bring with me to help me along so that I can help them along? And so for me, that's why this podcast and all the things that we hope this to grow into is so important, because it these conversations have changed my life for the better, and they're continuing to, having these new friends who I can talk about these things that other people just aren't ready for yet, has been so valuable. And that's really what we want to provide for everybody, for ourselves too, selfishly, but for everybody else as well. So yeah.
Yeah, we want to share some of the magic that we kind of stumbled into for
Yeah.
ourselves
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
in
we
the
wanted to
support we have for
share.
each other.
Yeah, I think we wanted to share our origin story, how all three of us came together
Yeah.
and chose to create Tired as Fuck.
Yeah. The origin of the origin story was, for me, on my end, was that I met Courtney at an event. I didn't necessarily love the event, but the minute I met her, I was like, who is this like bubble of pink light? Like, she just,
Yes.
right? She just comes in, and you all will see, you know, as we talk, and like, she has this bigger than life aura, and I just was like, "Who is this girl? Let me go introduce myself to this girl." And she was just running and doing and checking in and all the things. She invited me to a party, like an evening event at this conference we were all at, that her organization was putting on. I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it." We had a great time. We talked a little bit at the party, really, you know, you meet people and you just know, like, there's a connection. Like, I need to have this person in my life. So, we talked, and then like nothing, like life happened. We went, I mean, months and months and months, like
Months.
nothing, no conversation. And it is what it is, right? And then I happened to see on LinkedIn, she made some posts, and I don't remember what it was, but I commented on, and I was like, I'm still waiting for you to call me back. Can't wait to talk to you. And then she reached out. And then ever since then, like, we talk constantly. We've gotten to know each other so much better. But it was just that feeling of, so being open to other people's beautiful energy and not being afraid to go over there and touch it, right? Go over there and say, hey, I want some of that. And being available, right? Recognizing like, yeah, okay, I've had shit happening in my life, haven't had time for these other things, but when it was time, it was time. And she was just open to like, yeah, girl, I'm so sorry. I've been busy. I'm like, whatever, it happens. But now we're here. Right. And so that's my perspective on how this started with Courtney. And then that's also how I was able to then meet Sandra. So
Yeah.
Courtney, maybe you can fill in because you are the link between both. So
Sure. So I love how you tell our meeting story, because this feeling was mutual, right? Like there was just an energetic connection right away. And the day after I got back from the conference is when I had my first mammogram and had a whole breast cancer scare and had to navigate our healthcare system and our insurance system, which is broken. And that was a full-time job for like 3 or 4 months to go through multiple MRIs and scans and all these things before I came back cancer-free. Yay! Love that. But that was why I hadn't reached out to her. And as somebody who is healing and dealing with my ADHD and realizing I'm cyclical and I only have so much room for stuff, I was just like, I don't owe this person a response. I don't have to feel bad for not responding to somebody right away, even though I know that activates a lot of people. Old, unhealed Courtney would have been like, it's my job to make her comfortable, make sure she doesn't feel like this is personal. But I didn't have the bandwidth because I was making sure I didn't have cancer. So when I did reach out to her, however many months later, when she commented, it was like, I have no expectations, right? For some people, it's like, nope, that door closed, and that's fine. I'm just like, hey girl, I'm still open if you're still open. Like, this is what's been going on. Here's a little snapshot into my life story. Things have leveled out. And we just picked it up and ran because, again, there was no storytelling, I think, on either side of like that it meant more than it did. And then we were just able to kind of pick up and go. But I also will attribute the fact that I started writing a lot more openly on LinkedIn a couple years ago about my ADHD and my diagnosis and my experience as a very sensitive woman who has also been fat. I was 100 pounds heavier than this and couldn't get healthcare because I had medical issues that doctors wouldn't acknowledge because I was fat. So I was getting gaslit in the doctor's office and in the boardroom, right? On all sides. And so, for me, I was like, I have to start putting this out there. I have to, now that I'm further along in my journey and I've gone through, advocated for myself, gotten some of the care I needed, and gotten some of these diagnoses, like it's my job, to Sandra's point, as a privileged person who is existing in a white body that is more accepted by society now. It's my job to get fucking loud, real loud. And so I'm like, well, I have a platform on LinkedIn. I don't have a huge platform, but I have a platform. So
Right.
I know there's a ton of women that must be feeling similar things to me. I know I can't be alone. So it's my job to start showing up and putting that stuff out there. And I think not only was that like cathartic for me from like a healing perspective, but it's what brought Mel and I back together, because she saw one of those posts that I was putting out that like rekindled that conversation. And I'll kind of tell a little bit of Sandra's origin story as we go, because Sandra and I worked together at a previous tech company.
Right.
We worked remotely in different places. We never really got a chance to know each other. And I quit. That was the first time I quit without having a job lined up, because I was so offended by how they treated me. Basically, we hadn't talked in, I don't even know, years since we'd worked at that
least
company.
a couple of years. Yeah.
At least a couple of years. But it was after, I think it was around the time Mel and I reconnected. I don't know. Sandra reached out to me out of the blue, just with a note saying she'd read one of my pieces that it really resonated with her, thanking me for being vulnerable and honest. And like, Sandra was somebody I always respected, even though I didn't know her that well. And so to have somebody take that time to write something so meaningful in response to something that's pretty vulnerable, right? And putting that stuff out there meant so much to me. Like, I was just like, oh my God. And I wrote back right away, and we reconnected and started talking. And she shared with me, and I'll let Sandra get into more detail when I hand this over to her, but she shared she's late diagnosed autistic too. And she's like, it took me several days to like get up the actual courage to like reach out to you. And I'm like, I'm so glad you did. I'm so glad whatever I was putting out there made it safe enough, made it feel okay enough for you to reach out to me, because I want that connection. I want that. Right. And so that's kind of when each of us started our own individual supportive relationships as we were figuring out our transitions in life and our second act after corporate careers or whatever that looks like. And I knew Mel had a vision for something like this. And I very early on was like, don't ask me. Don't ask me about a podcast. Don't ask me about anything. I don't have the bandwidth right now. And a few
I said, okay,
months ago,
I'm going to let it happen. Okay.
Yeah.
You let me know. It's okay. I'm not going anywhere.
So again, she didn't pressure me. She didn't push it. And like when it felt like we were all kind of in a more stable place with our own shit, I was like, this is the time. I should introduce them and see if there really is chemistry between the three of us. Because if they're each one of my besties navigating, then like they should probably get along too. So Sandra, what was your perspective in all of that?
Oh gosh. Well, so I reached out to you after at my last job. I was actually fired from my last job for a rather ridiculous reason that I won't go into. I'll just say that I'd met all my goals. Like all my team was meeting the deadlines. My team would regularly tell me what an incredible leader I was, that I was the best leader that they'd ever had, that kind of thing. And then, the people at the top decided that I wasn't worth it anymore after the person that hired me left. And this was the pattern that had shown up for me in the tech world. I did incredibly good, solid work under the person that hired me. And when that person moved on in whatever way they did, and they gave me a new manager, I was out within 6 months. So this time I decided I wasn't going to go back in and repeat that pattern. But I didn't know what was coming next. I knew that it would be nice to be able to build something of my own that I could share with the world. And I reached out to Courtney because she was sharing the same stressors, the same problems that I had faced in that tech world. And I was going through the process at that point of being diagnosed with my own autism, which is a much longer process than it needs to be, simply because insurance doesn't want to pay for it. They're not going to get any extra money from medicine because there is no medicine for autism. All of this other kind of stuff. It just took forever to get through that process. And I was in the process of that, and I was fairly certain I was going to get diagnosed with something. And I reached out to Courtney because what she said really did resonate with me. And I kept thinking I really enjoyed working with her the very few times that I got the opportunity. Maybe there's work that we could do together. And we started off thinking about maybe we could pull a class together. Maybe we could do these other things. We met, we chatted, we kind of figured out what we both did really well, that sort of thing, and decided that the class that we had started building wasn't the direction we wanted to go. And we both had our own businesses. We both created our own businesses. Courtney had Chief Troublemaker Co. And I created Be Learning. And through all of that, we just continued to talk about how hard it is for people like us in the corporate world. And it shouldn't be. We bring a lot to the table. We bring not only expertise, but we bring compassion, we bring vulnerability, we bring kindness, we bring quality leadership that considers the individual strengths of each. We are very good, both of us separately, in creating collaborative efforts that transform organizations. And to have that regularly dismissed was disheartening. And I knew Courtney was going through the same disheartening stuff. So when she was like, hey, you should meet this person, Mel, I think y'all will get along, I was excited because, Courtney's going to know quality people. But also, if she's introducing us, she's got an idea in mind. If you don't know this about Courtney, which you may not yet, Courtney always has something in mind. There is a scheme going on, and I mean that in the best possible way, right? She's not using people. She is thinking about how to make something good out of, what she knows. We all got together. We started talking about it, and Tired as Fuck was born. There's a lot more to that than it sounds. It was a months in being born. We talked about a lot of different possibilities before settling on this as a starting point. And we have a lot more behind this that we want to be able to do. But I think that really gets us to the point where we're existing as an entity. We're trying to come together. And we came up with the name Tired as Fuck because, number one, we are tired. Number two, we are tired as fuck of the way that we have been treated as people who really know their stuff in this world.
Yeah.
And something that Mel brings up often, and I think is also really important, is we're tired of this idea, A, that we have to do it alone, or that the existing systems are what we have to do it in.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mel had this vision, I think about her as kind of like our architect, right? Like she had this vision years ago before we ever met, right? And thinking about what that looks like. And for me, part of this journey for us and starting with the podcast and figuring out what that looks like and building community is to find the other women that are tired as fuck of thinking they have to do it in the existing systems and being so exhaustive trying to do it alone, because each of us have our own businesses and our own goals for what we're doing with our own brands and our own work that are totally our own thing. And at the same time, we have a joint project and support and built in everything, right? It's half therapy, it's half networking, it's half IT support, it's half editing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a little bit of everything all rolled into one, because when we look at the numbers, right? Like in 2025 alone, over 300,000 women have been pushed out of the workforce in America, right? And it's disproportionately affecting Black women. Not in small part for the Doge cuts and all of the government jobs that are being lost. But I still have a day job. I still work in the world of some of this. And I work in culture and leadership development. I work with a bunch of HR and DEI executives that are mostly women, and they're getting hit hard in this moment, right? And a lot of them are trying to build their side hustles. They're trying to get out because they're like, I can't actually do the work. I believed in this work. That's why I got into it. And then I got into these companies and these structures and realized they're never going to let me do the real work. They're never going to let me do the real work. I'm just going to become a box checker and like bottom line revenue driver for them because that's all they're about. And I just think that there are enough women that are getting pushed out or leaving and trying to figure out what to do next that like this was the right time to create something like this, because there's just too many of us and we've been sold a bill of goods that's bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know about the rest of you, but for me growing up, I'm solidly Gen X, born in the 70s, raised in the 80s, college in the 90s, very much that Gen X personality. And I cannot tell you how many times I was told over and over that if I wanted to change the system, I needed to change it from within. And do you know how hard I tried to do that? How hard I tried to do that in academics, how hard I tried to do that when I became a professor, how hard I have tried as an educator and a leader in the tech organizations to change that system from within. And you know what? It's only gotten worse and worse and worse. And I'm done trying to change it from within.
Yeah.
One of the things that we have all discovered as we go through this process of helping each other is that we support one another. We are not in competition. We are not fighting for our place. We are not trying to win something over any of these other people, despite the fact that sometimes our own significant others or members of our family are like, are you sure that this person is not going to snow you or anything along those lines? We knew that we were collaborating. We knew that we were supporting each other. We knew we were lifting each other up as we were building this. And that is the kind of system that we want to promote, that we want to provide, and that we want to see grow as a result of this podcast and everything else we're going to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because the reality is, and we'll talk a lot about this throughout, is that's the challenge, right? Like there is this system that we all have been taught about and have tried to navigate through and tried to fix from within. Same here from the nonprofit end of things. Like I've done advocacy work. I've been out there in the streets. I've all of that work. But the reality is, and I think we're all seeing it now, the reality is that there's no fixing it, right? There's not an it to fix. We're just all starting to recognize how broken the systems are. All of the systems are. And so, this is about figuring out, forget about the system, forget about what you've been told and how it's always been and why is this thing not working for that? Because it's not for us. It was never built for women. It was definitely not built for anybody of color. It was definitely not built for anyone who isn't rich and came from money, right? And so this illusion we've all been fed that somehow, if you just work hard enough, if you just try hard enough, if you just go out there and get angry enough, that somehow magically somebody's going to listen and fix something is bullshit, right? I mean, there's no clearer way we can describe that than exactly what's happening in the US right now. So this is really about figuring out, okay, forget whatever systems exist. What do I need? Right? What do I need to survive first? Then what do I need to thrive? Right? That's what we want to work together to help create. And again, for everybody who wants to come with us on this journey, it is about, it's going to be about bitching about what's not working and who's pissing us off. Absolutely. Because we all need a space to vent about those things, right? So that we can let it go and then talk about, okay, well, what are we building new? How are we going to do this even better? Right? Because we can't just be angry all the time, right? Be angry. Okay, feel the feels. And then now what? And now what are we going to do? Right?
We have to channel it into action, right? Like that's the thing I think we all have also really supported each other in. That's something you said that was so important, Mel, is like figuring out what is aligned for each of us individually. And that's something most people weren't taught to do. Right. And for a lot of, especially a lot of late diagnosed neurodivergent women, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We were masking, we were trying to fit in, we were doing all these things, we were trying to compensate, we thought we were broken, we thought we were slow or stupid. And it's like, no, we're just now realizing we're grieving the fact that we didn't have the support we needed because we really are magical and special, but we're totally handicapped in a lot of ways, right? And so like we're grieving that and realizing that like we still still have learning to do. And that's part of what this is too, is like helping support each other in that learning of like, well, how do I know what is really aligned for me? And how do I make sure that I'm staying in alignment with that? And then what does that look like in my business? Because we were, I'm a little bit younger than you guys. I'm an elder millennial, but we were all raised with this idea that like there's a work-life balance, but that they're separate, right?
Yeah.
That like
Yeah.
your work and your life, you want to balance them, but they do not exist together. And I think the other thing we're all realizing is that we want much more integrated lives.
Yeah, I think every single one of us has heard from some leader or another at some point in our history that somehow we're too this or too that or we're too loud, we're too direct, we're too assertive, we're too this, we're too that, all of these things to be professional. When the truth of the matter is that our level of professionalism was never impacted by those things, right? We were just bringing ourselves to the table, and ourselves made other people uncomfortable.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
It's funny. I'm trying to think. The only time I was too anything was I was too gay. I'll get into that in my origin story about the one organization who wanted to call that out. And it was a good conversation because I love it. For me, when people think I'm too anything, that's a compliment. Thanks. That means I'm doing it right. And that's where we have to get with all this. So, okay. So I want us to do we decided on a segment that we want to make sure that we do before we leave everyone. And it's called The Last Fuck. So the last fuck is, normally we're going to spend a little bit more time, about the shit that's not working. And so we need to acknowledge again, like there's at least something that we have like one last fuck to give about. So for this week, right now, with everything that's going on in the world, Sandra, what is one thing that you're willing to give your one last fuck to right now?
Today is election day, right? People right now are voting, and people are voting. A lot of people are voting that have never voted before, that could not get motivated with I would say, the candidates that were available to them based on the system that we have. They were just like, there is no point. And I cannot tell you how many people I have known that are like, this is at best the lesser of two evils. Why should I waste my time? And this year I have heard more people talking about voting than I have heard in my entire lifetime. And I give a fuck about that.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes. Give all the fucks for voting. Yay.
Get out there
How
and
about
vote.
you, Courtney?
I would say similar. I mean, +1 on the voting. Get out there and vote. Vote for,
Yes.
I do care who you vote for, but I don't
Just
care
took
who you
my
vote for. Just
sticker
get out there and
off.
vote. Just go do it.
Yes.
And I think the thing for me that I am carrying that I am giving a fuck about, because I have a lot of moving parts in my life right now, some of which are going better than others. And the easiest thing for me to stay focused on is the communities that feel most aligned to me. Like, because I have to be involved in multiple communities. Some of them are less aligned than others by necessity. It just is. We all have to do that sometimes. And I think for me, it's like, yeah, but just lean into the communities that matter more to you. Like this, like you guys, like my local community, like making sure that I'm out there and getting out to the local school board meetings and the local meetings that are happening in the community and donating to the local food pantry and all of that, because I can't change what's happening in Washington, D.C. I can't, but I can give a fuck about what's happening to my neighbors and to the people closest to me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yay, community.
Mel?
Yay.
What about you, Mel?
I will say, my last fuck is more related to my wife. As we are recording, the government has been shut down for, I think, 32 days, maybe today.
33, I think 30. It's
33.
Goodness.
Too many days. My wife is one of those people who has been working for free for all of those 30 plus days. She works for TSA. And so I am so thankful for the people. Like every day she comes home with stories of people like thanking her for showing up for work. They're giving
Oh,
her candy and snacks and like trying to give her money, which she can't take, trying
Yeah,
to give
yeah.
her gift cards, which she can't take. But just the fact that in all of this bullshit that we are seeing and ICE deportations and just
Mhm.
terrible, crazy, horrific things happening here and across the globe, to know that people are kind enough in their busy schedule when their flights have been delayed because people aren't working because they can't, they need to have other jobs to make money, that there's still a ton of people that are showing up with kindness and saying it out loud, right? They're not
Mhm.
just thinking it, they're saying it out loud. Really, that gives me a little bit of hope in humanity. So I want to give my last fuck to that little piece of hope for humanity, that there are a few good ones left.
Yay!
I love that. I think that
Yes.
is beautifully hopeful. And what I will say is, I think we all need to share more stories like this
Yes.
Yeah.
because the algorithm and the billionaires want us to think that everybody is worse than they are. And there's more
Mhm.
people like that. And we just need to, the algorithm's going to push more of the extreme stuff because that's algorithm's going to do what algorithm's going to do. But we need to share more of these stories because people just need to be reminded that the majority of people are still like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we're here, right? That's the whole point of us being together on this podcast. Any closing words before we get out of here and start working on the next episode?
I am going to add, I really am excited because the next episodes are going to be about our origin stories. So we get to hear Mel's origin story in the next one. I'm very excited to hear how Mel Morris became Mel Morris, and how Courtney Broderick became Courtney Broderick. And also to just encourage people, if you're listening to this and you have your own origin story, you have your own reasons that you're tired as fuck, we want to hear them. So this is meant to be a conversation. Even though we're the three up here talking, we do not want to be leaders in this. We just want to be somebody who's sharing, and we'd love for you to join us.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
that.
Courtney?
I would say the idea is that we kind of want this to be a little bit voyeuristic.
Mhm.
Like, we want you to kind of just get a backstage pass to some of the conversations that we've been having over the
Mhm.
past year. And that's kind of how the format of this podcast came to be, just because we've gotten so much value out of that. We're kind of trying to just invite you in as a little voyeur to be a part of those conversations. But to Sandra's point, join in. Let us know, like, what is it that you are tired as fuck of? What is it
Mhm.
that you would love to hear us riff on? Because our list of topics is endless. But if there's stuff that's most relevant for y'all, like, let us know
Yeah, that's
because
what we want
we've
to cover.
probably been through it and discussed it at length.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of those things. I'm super excited. I'm happy to be with both of you, sharing our stories, learning about each other. I'm excited to hear from everybody about, what they have going on in their lives, how maybe we can support them, questions that you have. For everyone, just make sure that you like and follow the podcast wherever you are listening right now, or where you listen to your other favorite voices. Again, make sure to drop a comment below and let us know who you are. Say hey. Let us know if you have a question. Let us know what you're tired as fuck about. Let us know systems and communities that you've created for yourself so we can talk about those things as well. So we're going to be around. It's an opportunity, and I'm encouraging these ladies to really focus on kind of bragging on yourselves a little bit, right? Like, I feel like that's something that I don't feel super comfortable normally in doing. I've done some amazing shit, but I don't generally like reflect and brag on it. So
Yeah.
partly
Yeah.
for me, but partly for each of us, I want us to brag about all the amazing shit that we've done throughout our lives, how we've dealt through with things. And I encourage everybody who listens to those episodes as well. Think about that. Start writing down all the amazing shit you've done so we can hear about it too. So that's it. Thank you so much for joining us here on Tired AF, and we'll see y'all next time.
We're tired as fuck, but we won't inside.